So, what advice do you usually give students who want to follow your footsteps by, first of all, studying abroad and also doing cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, what I tell people is that you need to understand what you want. What's your motivation? What do you want to do? Is it because you want to have a career in this aspect, or you want to make more money, or you just like, dealing with challenges in cybersecurity or in computing? So what motivates you? That's the first thing. So is that motivation that drives you, that gives you the power to keep going every day? Because it's not easy to do a PhD.
Adeboye left his country with a goal of being a master's degree holder, but life had its own twists, and he ended up studying for a PhD, and a PhD, not only a normal PhD, but a cybersecurity PhD, and is currently the professor at the same school he studied from, the University of Salford.
Yeah,
So if you were starting a PhD today, knowing what you know now about the job market and the academic world, what specific sub-discipline of cybersecurity would you bet on?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hello and welcome. Today we have Olayinka Adeboye on the show, a PhD holder. I don't know how it feels like to study for 7 years. I'm about to find out. So are you. Welcome, Olayinka.
Thank you, Dio. How are you today?
I'm good.
Great.
So if someone actually just tuned in for this podcast, what do you think they would be getting out of this at the end of this conversation? What is that key thing that you think that they'll actually benefit from when they listen to you?
Yeah, just following your theme for today's conversation, they should be learning, how to apply for a doctorate degree, my perspective on doctorate programs, and I can also share some, a little bit of information on cybersecurity in 2026. If you want to have a career in cybersecurity, or you're thinking of learning cybersecurity, I can give you some motivation today, just using my journey and what is happening right now in cybersecurity.
Okay, that's interesting. What specifically drew you to pursue your PhD in the United Kingdom rather than locally? And how did that international environment shape your technical perspective on cybersecurity?
Okay. Yeah, I came to the UK in 2017 to do my master's degree, and I finished in 2018. So what was fascinating, then was my dissertation. Really liked the dissertation, and I had real good motivation for the dissertation. I didn't really know much about cybersecurity then. I just came to, try my best, see what I can do. I'm more of a programmer, more of a developer before. Then
Well,
I
that's
just,
interesting.
yeah,
I
but
have
yeah,
a
my
programming
dad,
background.
exactly, yeah, exactly. So I really, really, really did very well because I have a programming background. And my dad had to convince me to do cybersecurity. I don't really know what he saw in the future, and I had to listen to him. So I didn't really know much about cybersecurity, but my dissertation really helped me, gave me good motivation. And the dissertation was about looking into social media data privacy then, and I was really, really keen into it because nobody's really looking at data privacy then. Everyone is always talking about security, data security, not much on data privacy. So I was looking into data privacy, and I'm trying to understand how organizations collect our data, how they use our data, and how they share them, what kind of data breaches all this cause then. It really motivated me to, go deep into researching social medias and how companies treat our data, which was really good for me. So I wanted to, take this a little bit further, learn more about this. So I was looking at what is the next thing I could do that can help me, to develop this new challenge of mine. And I started thinking of a PhD. So and to study PhD, in data privacy. I think it might be best to do it in the UK than in locally in Nigeria back then. So I spoke to a supervisor, and the supervisor had to, redirect my idea a little bit. So I wasn't looking into social media anymore. I was looking into something more current and something more significant that we can do for many years. So I was looking into autonomous vehicles, data privacy, which was really very interesting. So all those motivated me. So locally, possibly I wouldn't have researched an autonomous vehicle because I'm not sure there's an autonomous vehicle in my country at the moment. So those are the motivations and the reason why I stayed back in the UK to study my PhD.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mine was actually, I'm not meaning the traveling to the UK to study masters, but
Okay.
how I actually joined cybersecurity also was the same. That you find that mine was more of the lecturer. It was like, you need to now look at things differently because the world is changing, the world is evolving, and now how are you going to still remain marketable? Because at that time, they were already talking about how AI is also going to be disruptive, and all how software was easily done even without prior knowledge of coding. The fact that there were frameworks already, and also WordPress was doing a very good job. So someone could easily come up with an application quite quickly. So they told us, you know what, you need to now dig into other areas. So our last semester in software engineering, we actually went into networking and cybers, actually more of networking. So when we did networking and I did wireless server, I started playing around with the networks and I was like, wow, I need to dig deeper. So that's how I entered that rabbit hole of actually cybersecurity. It's like you never jump into it. You just find yourself more curious and then you end up, getting
Exactly.
into
That's
it
right.
like that.
That's right. Yeah.
So what are the biggest cybersecurity challenges students face today, and how can they protect themselves?
Okay. You mean the biggest challenges people face, everyone faces? Is that what you mean? Not just students alone, maybe everyone
Yes.
in society, in our community, and the kind of challenges they face today in cybersecurity. There are lot of challenges today in cybersecurity. Looking away from organizational challenges, I should say the first challenge, to people in society, in community today, in cybersecurity, is phishing attacks. I think phishing attacks is quite old, but it's still very, 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 very rampant. In
Yeah.
2025 and in 2026, given the development of AI as well in 2026, phishing
True.
attack has evolved. We have very good phishing now. The people now send phishings that look very real. You cannot tell if they are fake or real. So people
Yeah.
are susceptible to clicking a phishing link in 2026 than back in the
Before.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, before, because of AI, and
Yeah.
which is a really big challenge. Yeah, because I've been tested so many times as well. People have sent me phishing links, and I've investigated them, and possibly I can't find anything that makes it suspicious. It's very hard to tell if it's suspicious or not. Yeah, and that's what people are going to be falling into this year. Another one is I've seen this a lot as well, or we saw this in 2025 reading reports, and we noticed that people are falling into giving their credentials away, or attackers are stealing more of credentials now because they are trying to move away from using malwares to get into people's systems, because malwares nowadays are now too noisy, and the current security tools now understand all malwares, even zero-day malwares. They understand them. So attackers are now moving away from using malwares. They are looking for more subtle ways to get into people's system, more ways to access people's system without that noise. So what they are doing now is that they're focusing on stealing credentials, credential harvesting, stealing cookies, authentication tokens, and all these things, just to get into people's systems without making too much noise, and very easy to do as well. So people should be wary about giving their credentials away, and should be very protective using multi-factor authentication just to make sure they are protecting things better, even if they give their passwords or sessions keys away. Possibly there is another form of authentication that can still, help them secure their platform or their web application or their devices. Yeah, which I think is two of those challenges are really key, that people need to take very seriously in 2026.
Yeah, that is true, because now it's actually the credentials, because nowadays if they're not using, because now the antivirus usually use signature based way of preventing attacks, but they also do UEBA, user entity behavior analytics. So you find that those are the two elements. So if they're able to know what you do, UEBA, and also the device itself, and then also the signatures for the latest vulnerabilities, you find that it's way easier for them to detect. But now if you have the credentials of someone who shared them freely, it makes your life way easy. You don't have to go through all that hassle
And sometimes you don't need to share them freely. Attackers find a way to get them. Yeah, they find a way to harvest them. They harvest keys, they harvest credentials, they harvest tokens without even you giving them away. Yeah, they find vulnerabilities in systems. For example, there are reports. Verizon reports showed that there were many credentials harvested from VPNs and from edge devices as well. So you don't have to give them away. They can harvest them. They find a way to harvest them and get to use them to access systems.
It's interesting, especially with the VPNs being used, because nowadays most people, when they tune into a VPN, they just think everything is safe, and also they don't notice the type of permissions they actually give those VPNs, especially the free ones.
Deep dive research so recently, what is one under the radar vulnerability or trend you think the industry is currently underestimating?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, about my research, yeah, I think I can't remember now exactly when I finished, but it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. So it's a long time. And many things have changed since then. And what I think organizations are underestimating right now is in the remediation of threats. So what we've been able to do well in the UK and in many countries is that we've been able to detect threats better than before. So we've got different tools, different innovative cybersecurity tools that can detect threats in real time. We've got SIMP tools, we've got EDR tools, we've got SALT tools, so many tools that can detect threats really quick, and is really helping organizations in the UK to detect threats in real time, which is very good. But what organizations are missing right now is in responding to the threat that is being detected. So when you get a reported threat in your company that we found a threat and you need to fix the threat, organizations still spend like many days trying to fix it. What's the reason for this? We don't really know. I possibly think it's because possibly they don't have the resources, or possibly there's something going on, or they are underestimating it, or whatever might be the case that we don't really know. That is the challenge. Reading the Verizon threat report, it says that it takes organization about 30 days, an average of 30 days, to fix a problem that has been detected. And so why is it taking them that long? Because threat actors possibly need less than 30 days to complete their mission. in terms of attacking a system and getting away with it. They possibly need less days. So if you give them 30 days, that means they could do whatever they want to do and then keep doing it before they complete their mission and they are off in 30 days. So can we try and reduce the days in terms of remediating or fixing problems, fixing vulnerabilities and fixing misconfigurations in systems? Possibly, I think organizations should be looking into these areas in 2026, looking at how to fix this problem. Possibly is it because of there's no access to security tools, or there are no resources, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the tools. What could be the problem? Possibly we can use AI, we can leverage the advancement of AI, and then putting this together with human-centric capabilities can help in solving this problem. So that we can easily cut the number of breaches and number of incidents in 2026.
That's actually very interesting, because I would expect that the fact that most tools are actually run by AI, that it should have been way easier. And the fact that also that you find that even the tools themselves, maybe the area I would say that the reason why it may take longer, 30 days, it's still a big number for my head to pass process. Maybe it's the human element. The fact that
No, I feel like
they...
no, you can
Go on.
complete.
Yeah,
No, I
because
feel like
I'm thinking that the AI and the human element, maybe the time for remediation on the human side. But I don't know. What do you think, Angela?
I feel like the time for remediation is long because some of the threats do not affect core business functionality. So you will still report the threat, but then since the systems are still functioning,
Exactly.
maybe if they need to release some resources towards that, and they're like, okay, are we down yet? No. Okay, so we can we can just keep that at the back as people keep on working. So they don't know the risk that it would take for the remediation window to be closed. But as long as the systems are up and running, it's it will be difficult to convince finance to release those resources. I would think so. Until they know now the house is on fire, and then they would do that.
Yeah, I can give you an example. Some in the Verizon report, it reported some leak API keys on GitHub. I think a company put some, or they uploaded some API keys on GitHub, and then Verizon told them to take the API keys down, or to take the page down, because those keys are private, they're personal. Attackers can use them to gain access to people's devices or platforms. So it took this, I can't remember the name of the organization that uploaded the API keys. It took them 98 days to respond. Yeah, it took them 98 days to respond, something like that. So, and it's not that they didn't get the message.
That's
They got the
longer than a
message,
quarter.
but exactly, yeah. But before they can respond, and this happens everywhere, not just with that company. It happens everywhere in the UK, and I think it's because of the human element. Is one, the human element is even AI as well sometimes, because AI is not absolutely autonomous for now. So you can't allow AI to remediate for you, just like that, because we need to check what AI is doing. We need to be able to understand why would AI, fix a vulnerability for you?
Because they're selling
So
the systems
AI
and saying they're self-healing. So
yeah, there are systems that are self-healing. Yeah, but they
that's a
still
very
need
common
some
term they
human
use.
element in them as well, to check their decisions, to check if what they are doing is right. They can reverse their decision as well, or they can reverse whatever they've done as well. So human element is still there, and is not completely overhauled. So that human element, I think, is a really big factor, and that we need to start looking into as well in 2026. Yeah.
Then if you are still looking at that, now if in terms of schools, how can we actually incorporate that practical hands-on cybersecurity training into the curriculum, and how have you been able to incorporate it as a lecturer?
Yeah, that's a good question, because all students want practical hands-on. When they come in for our program, that's the first question they ask, that is there any hands-on? And if they don't get the hands-on in the program, possibly they won't be happy. Or even sometimes, uh, even the hands-on implementation in our modules, in the workshop, sometimes is not enough. Students, when you read students' feedback, they say possibly that the hands-on is not enough. You can add more hands-on to it, or you can add more technical bits. So students are not always comfortable, or they are not always happy with the kind of hands-on that we've implemented so far, no matter how much technical the module is. But what we've done so far is that we try to teach fundamentals for the first 4 weeks, so that we let them understand what are the fundamentals of the module. And then maybe for the subsequent 7 weeks and 8 weeks remaining, then we can start introducing technical bits. And these technical bits are integration of industrial practiced state-of-the-art techniques that we got from our technical, our industrial friends, and incorporated it into our workshop and into our notes. And we try to teach them how to build tools, how to attack. For example, I teach cyber forensics, and cyber forensics is about investigating crimes as happened using digital devices. So we try to investigate real life crimes. We try to get real life data, real life crime scenarios from industrial partners, and then we try to use them. We give them hands-on materials, hands-on techniques, hands-on samples that we've gotten, so they can start investigating these samples and then reporting what they could find. So it's always very interesting, trying to get students to investigate these. What can they find? They're so happy using tools, setting up tools themselves, and using current tools and trying to find information or find evidence about a crime, or trying to resolve an incident. So is my own module is always very hands-on, because it's quite investigative and times of research, which is quite interesting. But my advice is that I think what we can do in the future to make this better in terms of hands-on, and I learned this from last year, reading students' feedback. So I think what we can do to make this better in the future is to try and give students like a project, not towards the assessment, but towards the end of the workshop. Give them like a project for them to build something up, build like a tool. You can tell them to build like a threat detection tool, and then use the threat detection tool to understand how security tools, pick up threats, detect threats on the network, and then how do they inform organization about the threats on the network? How do they report this to the organization? So we can tell them to build a simple tool, or just part of the tool that operationalize this kind of scenario, which I haven't been teaching that much because it's not part of the module. It's just like a prerequisite to the module. So I can tell them to build this hub and then see these prerequisites themselves, because I won't be able to build it up for them, or I won't be able to show them as part of the module, because the module is just more about investigation. So let's teach them more about the prerequisites to the module, so they understand the prerequisites very well, they're happy with it, and then the module itself, they can now continue, they can understand, they can interface both together, and then really understand what we are trying to, if you understand what I'm trying to say, they can really understand what the module is about, what are the prerequisites, so there are no more shady sides to the module. They know everything. They can know what has been taught before, and what they are expected to get as well in the future. So I think that will really help going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you were talking about that, that gave me an idea of
Okay.
maybe build up to the story, like more of different excerpts which build on top of the same whole plethora of things. I don't know if that's what you're actually thinking of incorporating.
Exactly, yeah, because many of them don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge. Some of them don't have a clue at all. Some people are very good, they know what they're doing, so they can easily relate with the module. You don't have to teach them any prerequisites. They understand, they have maybe cybersecurity background where they are coming from. So they understand what they're doing completely. But many of the students in the class don't really understand it. They're just like, okay, what's this? What are you doing? But because there are some prerequisites, something they should have known before they start the module, and they don't really know it. So we can use that as a project, tell them to build it up themselves so they can understand how these things work, how a threat detection tool work, for example, or how remediation tool work. So when they understand this, then possibly they can understand what you're trying to teach them. For example, in my own case, cyber forensics, they can understand how to investigate a crime that's happened or an incident on a network, how to investigate, how to find out what was the incident about? How can we contain that incident? How can we remediate that incident? So they can know this better, and it will definitely boost their motivation.
You know, Ola, you talked about you giving.
Maybe to add on that, if you were to look at tools specifically, because I usually have this challenge where people, when they want to do something, they just run to tools, but the skill is never got. I don't know if you get my point. Like,
that's right.
If they switch, it's like there's no particular methodology towards their work. How do you protect that, especially if they are young people? It's they are all over the place. So how do you maintain that?
Yeah, I told you first that for the first 4 weeks, we're just talking about the fundamentals. Yeah, we're talking about the methodologies, the processes of the module. So no technical bits, just talking about the process, the phases, and the fundamentals. How do you do this? Why do we do this? Why do you need to do this? Who does this? So that's what we're talking about. We're trying to
So that
explain
is
this
what
in the
helps
first
build
4 weeks. Exactly. But students sometimes they're not really happy. They don't want you to teach any fundamentals. They just want you to go straight into the technical bits and then start using tools. And then we try to tell them that, okay, no, that's not the way it's done. You need to understand what are the algorithms, what makes this function the way it functions. Then before you start using the tool, that helps you, when you start building the tool.
Yeah, definitely. Some of us are victims of that. We just run around the whole place. Yes. 2 years ago, you graduated. And, with AI, it has actually changed the game. And how has your original research adapted to or been challenged by the rise of generative AI in cyber attacks?
Yeah. My research, my PhD research 2 years ago has not really changed that much. The landscape has not really changed that much. It's not that significant because my PhD research was looking into designing a privacy um, generative model for autonomous vehicle. So I was using a generative AI then 2 years ago, just quite good. And then, so it means I could really work with data science department and I can work with the cybersecurity department. I actually help data science a lot because I know how to develop AI models and generative AI, agentic AIs. So I am really flexible and that makes me, so I teach a module as well for IoT security. So we do a lot of, building, developing IoT devices and implementing security into them. And so it's really very good, my PhD topic because it's helped me to be able to understand more about cybersecurity, about data science, about AI, and I'm quite flexible working around in the computer science department. I can also work in programming. I can teach some programming as well, do some research. which is quite good. So I think generative AI is still developing and is really helping in cybersecurity. Right now, we see some generative AI in threats, in writing malwares. We've seen people using generative AI to do penetration testing. So you can use generative AI to actually run the penetration testing life cycle. You can use it for to do vulnerability analysis or vulnerability scanning, and to do exploitation, to do post exploitation, just like that. And it's very, very effective. I've seen some of the tools, out there. I think there's one called Cyber Security Framework or Cyber Framework AI, something like that, that can be used for penetration testing. So there are a lot of generative AI tools used for cybersecurity now. I think which will be the good trend as well. In 2026, researchers will try to perfect these tools to do more of the traditional exercises that we do, like penetration testing, like vulnerability assessments, like detections, like antiviruses. So we'll be doing it. We'll be seeing a lot of this, in 2026 as well, and which is quite a good opportunity for everyone.
It's interesting. Part of my master's, I also majored in IoT, so I know about building IoT with breadboards and
That's nice.
resistors. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
So it's interesting to see that a lot of research is going into securing IoTs. You see how IoTs are doing the most. Your fridge is talking to you. Your washing machine can be set from wherever you are, and then the security, the privacy vulnerability to expose you to, because all those devices have your data and they can be used to compromise your security. So
speaking of that, there's a story which popped up in my head. So today we are having a conversation with my colleagues, and they're telling me about this new cap which stars itself, and apparently the thing was continuously starring itself when they fully charge it, and the whole night it lasts for 20. Completely, I failed to understand. I hear it was a firmware issue. I was like, what the heck is happening? So yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So if you were starting a PhD today, knowing what you know now about the job market and the academic world, what specific sub-discipline of cybersecurity would you bet on?
Yeah, that's a good one. Starting a PhD is not something someone can just tell you, to do, or it's not. You can't just do what you think in your mind. You can't just do your own topic. For example, when I wanted to start my PhD, my thinking was that I was going to do social media data privacy. So I understand data privacy, but I want to do data privacy. I want to investigate data privacy in social media. That's my thinking. But the supervisor changed this, or we had to align our interest. Your interest has to align with your supervisor. It has to be something current. That has to be something you can do for the next 4 to 5 years, or that you think is going to be relevant for that long. It's not something you think somebody can just solve overnight. It has to be very challenging, very difficult to solve, very complex. So the supervisor can really help to direct one into choosing an area. So then autonomous vehicle was current. People are researching autonomous vehicle, self-driving vehicles that drive themselves. They're trying to look at their security, trying to look at their data privacy, which was a current discussion then in the UK, and it's still quite relevant to today. So you see, that's about 5, 6 years ago, and it's still quite relevant. So those are kind of topics people want you to bring forward for your PhD. So I think if I want to advise one today, I'll possibly be advising them based on my own interest, because I have two research now. One is on developing an IoT heterogeneous ecosystems security in terms of developing a lightweight cryptographic systems for IoT. That's one. So we're looking at what's going to happen in the next future in terms of lightweight encryption. So in the nearest future, possibly we're going to be having quantum computing that will be able to crack many of the encryption algorithms that we have today, and many of them will become obsolete. And if you look into IoTs use lightweight encryptions, and then it means they might be vulnerable to quantum computing. So what happens in 5 to 10 years
they're
time?
Vulnerable now, and even more vulnerable in the time to come.
Exactly. So possibly I want to tell a PhD student to go in that direction, because it's going to be relevant from now till 10 years time. So it's a very good area to look into. And I have another research, which is in AI. Definitely everyone wants to work in AI right now, or any topic on AI, which is good. Yeah, but I want to use AI in trying to improve threat detection tool and remediation tool, and making them look real, and making them look human centric as well, just the way human experts behave as well. So can we train AI as well to be human centric, to behave like humans in terms of detecting threats, in terms of fixing threats, vulnerabilities and misconfigurations, and any kind of security issues? I think that's another area people are looking into now. If you can do that, I think companies are going to be really, really happy, or most especially small and medium companies. So I will be advising students to go into, because those are the area I'm looking. So we supervisors, we are always very selfish anyway, because we like students to work on what we are what we are working on. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I like that you didn't exclude yourself. It's very honest.
Very honest opinion indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice do you usually give students who want to follow your footsteps by, first of all, studying abroad and also doing cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, what I tell people is that you need to understand what you want. What's your motivation? What do you want to do? What exactly do you want to do? That's the first thing I tell everybody about. So when I'm asking students, just tell me about you, tell me what you're doing, and tell me why you want to do it. That why is what I want to learn more about you, which is your motivation. I want to know why, what's motivating you? What do you think? Is it because you want to have a career in this aspect, or you want to make more money, or you just like, dealing with challenges in cybersecurity or in computing? So what motivates you? That's the first thing. So is that motivation that drives you, that gives you the power to keep going every day? Because it's not easy to do a PhD. I'm sure it's not easy to be a lecturer as well, because in cybersecurity, I'm sure in other departments as well, they're always keeping up with new trend, new technology, and you need to keep studying. And so it's not very easy, to keep up with all these things. So what motivates you? And you need to let that drive you, to your goal. And it keeps driving you every day. It wakes you up from bed every day. It makes you want to do your research, want to do new things. Not dwelling on what maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago. You need to keep your motivation is key. So you have to follow your motivation. If you're not too good with programming, possibly you want to step back and do something that is less technical, not involving too much programming. Yeah, and if you know that you are very good with programming, possibly you want to go towards aspects or areas of cybersecurity that deals with programming. So because I know I like programming a lot. I'm very technical. Yeah, I'm more technical than talking and talking. I don't like too much talking and explaining fundamentals and backgrounds. So I just, try and sneak myself away from too much talk kind of modules. So I go for the more technical ones. So we are doing hands-on with exactly. I don't like compliance and things like that, because I don't like to talk and talk and talk. No, I don't like it. I like to be technical. I like to be, hands-on. And so I choose modules that are technical and hands-on. Those are the things that motivate me, that drive me, that makes me want to continue. And this is what I possibly want to advise anyone as well to do.
Interesting. What's your best programming language? Oh, top 3.
Oh, Python for sure. Python number
Python
1, and then Java. I love Java a lot. Yeah, and C.
and
Yeah.
C.
Do you program as well?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all required to. I'm a computer science major, but I would say
All right. All right.
JavaScript,
Okay.
Java, Python.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And Deo,
Great.
Okay, I
which
won't
one is
talk
yours?
about mine because I don't know the last time I programmed, so I won't share myself in public. Yeah,
But you know,
but
all
but
I
I
Yeah.
I used to enjoy. I was playing around with Python a lot.
Okay.
Then
It's quite easy to learn anyway.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite easy to learn. Then the frameworks, I started playing out with those frameworks, the Laravels, the Django's of the world. Yeah.
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 Quite
So
easy.
that's
Yeah.
where my programming
Yeah. We
ended.
we use a lot of Python in automating things, in AI, in cybersecurity as well.
web.
Many of the platforms, many of the attacking tools, I think they are written in Python and in Ruby. So so it's really very good.
Yeah, it's very powerful, especially the fact that many people have put in a lot of effort into making it easy and more of the, I won't call them classes, but I would say libraries. Most of the libraries are actually there, which makes work way easier to actually do. So we've talked about, so now we are in the parting shots. First of all, thank you for coming on the show. We had a good time. You've talked, and I don't think I'm yet convinced to be a PhD student. But check on me maybe next year. We shall see. My mind
Okay.
could be changed. Yeah, but where can people find you? And if people want to see your work, where can they check it out from?
LinkedIn is a very good place to find me, to find what I've done. I'm also a member of IEEE as well. So you can just Google me up. Possibly you can show some of my affiliations, can show some of the things I've done. You can find me, you can just a very good place to also find me and find what I'm doing is the university's website. So if you type my name on the university's website, University of Salford, you can find me there. It tells you a lot about me, shows you my profile. It can give you links to other places that I've also published my research as well.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. We'll add that in the show notes. Other than that, see you. Thank you for coming on the show.